You've had a terrific career, Dr. John Mullins, associate professor at London Business School. But what I like about you is not only are you a researcher and a teacher and a lecturer, but you've been there, you've done it, and you continue to do it. And I think that's a terrific combination. And having watched your work, listened to it, and read your work, I love that you always give great examples of all the lessons you're trying to convey.
Nice of you to say. Thank you. I'm one of those people who loves this work, and it sounds like you're one too.
Indeed. How lucky are we? We get to do things that are fun and interesting.
Yeah, yeah, and there's no reason to ever stop.
So tell me about your life now. Where do you live? How do you spend your time? And
Well, as you know, I teach at London Business
mm,
School. I don't know if you know LBS very well. It's the top business school in Europe and top five, top 10 in the world. So, if we don't, if we get incredible people walking in the front door to do an MBA or do an exec ed program, and if we don't screw them up too bad, they'll be pretty good when they leave through the back door too. So I get to do that, but I have grandkids in Colorado. So in 2013, I asked LBS if I could work half time or teach half
uh-huh.
time. I don't work half time. Um, and so I fly over to London from Golden, Colorado, where I spend most of my
Hmm.
days. The outdoor lifestyle in Colorado is quite special, as I'm sure you
I
know.
do.
And I live here, but I also have kept our flat in London. So I fly over, get off the plane, go take a shower, pull some clothes out of the closet, and off I go to work.
Good for you. And how often do you do
It's
that?
pretty good. Probably no, it's less now, but probably 6 or 8 times a year,
That
typically.
sounds just about perfect. Because I love
It is
London.
damn near perfect. It's a wonderful city.
Hmm.
Yeah.
And what airline gets you there?
Well, lots of choices. You wouldn't believe it, but there are four nonstops a day to London from
Hmm.
Denver. Who would think?
No.
I fly United because I get more perks there,
Yes.
so that's what I
Hmm.
do.
I'm on a board of a public company based in London, so I'm there several times a year as well. And in fact, we're just invested in a company based in London, so all the more reason to get there. And I really do enjoy London and getting to know it. It's a great walk around city.
Yeah, it's a walking city. Nobody knows that,
Mm.
and so much of it is low rise. 4-story
Yep.
limit. I grew up outside Manhattan. It sounds like you might be a New Yorker
Oh,
too.
there's no doubt
And
that I can't hide it. I grew up in Queens. How about you?
well, I lived in near Columbia University in Manhattan for the first 5 years of my
Mm.
life, and then my dad and mom moved us out to the suburbs of New
Uh huh.
Jersey. But in New York, I remember, you'd see this much of the sky
Exactly.
walking down 34th Street, right? In London, you don't have that. It's
And all those
very
other
different.
European cities are like that too. We have a great fondness for Rome, and we have occasion to get there often. Same thing. There's not no high rises, so that
Yeah.
you're exposed to the sky a lot more.
Well, it sounds like we both live pretty amenable
We
lifestyles.
do indeed.
Yeah.
Dr. John, tell me about your latest book.
So this new book, Break the Rules, was brought about because I was thinking about the research I'd done over many years. I've been at London Business School now for more than 25 years, um, and I'm aware that the world needs more people who think and act entrepreneurially. We need not only entrepreneurs, but we need people in bigger companies to think and act that way too. And I said to myself, why don't they? What's the difference between these entrepreneurs who just get stuff done and big business people who seem often to get mired in bureaucracy and where the growth rates are, so slow. And so I started studying that, and I went back at the 50 some case studies I've written on entrepreneurial companies and read a bunch of other stuff. And I realized that what's different about entrepreneurs is their mindsets. And it's up here. And it's the way they so a mindset is something where when information comes your way, your brain is predisposed to act on that information in a certain way. And entrepreneurs are wired in a certain way. And it turns out there's six of these mindsets, as I call them, that became the core of the book that that really define who entrepreneurs and what enables them to sometimes change the world. And interestingly, they fly in the face of much of what's taught in business schools like mine about what a well-managed company or a good manager is supposed to do. So I call them counter-conventional mindsets because they really break not break the law, but they break kind of the conventional rules about how businesses are supposed to be run. And so that turned itself into a book, and the book turned itself into a TED Talk that now has 4.5 million views.
That's
And
amazing. And I've
yeah,
watched it. It's terrific.
yeah, it's good. It was good fun doing it, and I thank the students at London Business School who invited me to do a TEDx talk that became what is now on the main stage.
And as you were doing that research, both formally and walk around research as you lived your life, which of those six mindsets, those counter conventional mindsets, surprised you most?
You know, I have to tell you, Jim, none of them surprise me because I'm around so much. So almost all of my teaching, I do some MBA teaching, but other than that, most of my teaching is with groups of entrepreneurs that are either in YPO or EO or one of the world's great entrepreneurial organizations. So I've been around entrepreneurs a lot for the last 20 some years. And I have come to see that they are fundamentally different than other business people. And yet, years ago, before I changed careers to become a professor, there was a bunch of research done trying to find the difference between successful entrepreneurs and successful managers in big companies. I couldn't find any differences. And I said, well, there are differences. I see them, I live them, but can I actually codify them? And that's what led to the research. But none of them surprised me. They might surprise others, but they didn't surprise me.
Well, in my lifetime, my business lifetime, the term entrepreneur was not a well-known or often used term 50 years ago.
That's right. Yeah.
But
In fact, when I was in business school at Stanford,
yeah,
Jim, I never heard the word
is that right? Yeah.
entrepreneur. I never heard the word. That was in the late 60s.
But then I was involved in the late 80s, or I was early 90s actually, 1991, with Ernst & Young had a Entrepreneur of the Year program. And
Oh, still
I
do.
think yes, they do. I think they contributed to the embrace and the warm regard for the idea of it and the term entrepreneur. Lots of other people did too, but having been
Yep.
involved in that program, and coincidentally, in your work, you talk a lot about a fellow I'm extremely fond of named Michael Dell. And I met Michael back in 1991 because I had won the award for the Entrepreneur of the Year in 1990. Michael won it in 1991, so we spent some
Oh,
time
interesting.
together. And
Hmm.
I think they contributed a lot to the change in vocabulary. But as you did these research and landed on these six different mindsets, I think the work that you do, and I think that the conventions that have evolved around venture capital, which was not a big deal 50 years ago,
Yeah.
private equity, angel investing, there was some of that. There was one firm, J.H. Whitney, was one of the first venture capital firms, and no one really knew what that was back then. And there were very, very few people who were doing that kind of work. But this whole idea has unlocked in that 50-year time frame, which is an enormous amount of time, but also my full business career. And it's and as I read your work, there's there's a convention now around how you think and behave, and circled up with vocabulary. So, for example, the term exit. How
Yeah.
many have you had a successful exit? Have you done exits? People didn't talk about selling your company or business in those times, but it gives a different context and an expectation set. So I was wondering, as you look at those six mindsets, there's a whole lot of people who've had one-time exits. They've sold a company and they've done pretty well. Do they approach their next journey, their next effort, their next business creation? Do they approach it very differently, having been through those cycles that resulted in an exit?
Uh, well, I think there's no single answer. I think clearly some of them approach things differently, having done it once, and I think they can shortcut the process a little bit, having done it
There's
once.
people who can't
Uh,
take care, can't stick to, don't have any stick to itiveness, so they become Serial entrepreneurs.
as they say,
Yes,
yeah. And as one guy told me, the definition of a serial entrepreneur is somebody who got lucky once and is looking for his second chance to get lucky again.
for sure.
So who knows? But yeah, I think the thoughtful ones anyway think about their journey, and the entrepreneurial journey is never easy. You know, it's filled with glory today because we read all the stuff in the media about Steve Jobs and Michael
Mm.
Dell and you and others. But it's hard. You know, you don't really know what your customers want, and your competitors are trying to kill you, and the world changes around you. It's really tough to be an entrepreneur, let alone be a successful one. And so I think those who have done it before appreciate the difficulties of the journey, and maybe they've learned a few things along the way that will let them enjoy, kind of avoid maybe some of the pitfalls
But I think your work
that they would
too,
otherwise encounter.
in codifying the different kinds of entrepreneurs and different kinds of business models that they are. You talked about Bill Gates and what he and Paul Allen did in the early days when they were writing custom software for different companies, and then how they realized, well, what if we didn't have to customize everything, but we had a core package we could sell. The idea of selling software
Yeah.
that gives us all a framework to think about what we're doing and how does it fit one of the models. Of course, you spoke about Michael Dell asking customers to pay him in advance and he'll give them a good deal. But I think you've done a lot to codify the different kinds of businesses that you can think about creating and test your model against.
Yeah, and I think understanding. So I wrote a book, I think, as you know, in 2009 with a guy named Randy Commissar.
A
Randy's
famous
a
entrepreneur.
wonderful entrepreneur, wonderful investor at Kleiner Perkins. He himself is an author of a couple of wonderful books. Uh, and back in 2009, that was when the phrase business model was, it seemed to be on the tip of everybody's tongue. But we didn't think anybody actually knew what they were saying when they said that pair of words. So we tried to figure out um, a process by which you could get to a business model that would actually work and not run out of cash, and also ways to think about that issue of developing a business model, so that you didn't start by opening up Excel, sticking a bunch of assumptions in a spreadsheet until it looked like a stick, and there's your plan. So I think that was one of the pivotal things that shaped my thinking, and the research we did in that book on Costco, which is an amazing business, led to the customer funded business, the book that followed that, where we figured out these several different ways to get your customer to fund your business instead of getting an investor to do that. And of course, Michael Dell is the poster child for that. So yeah, I think I've codified some things. I love to think clearly about problems as best I can, and then I love to write about them and share them with other people, and that seems to have some value.
Do you think it's the case that in the world we live in today, where we think about and talk a lot about disruption, particularly AI, aided and abetted disruption, that there'll be a whole character or a whole class of other people? You're the one who codifies things and researches and thinks about it structurally. But it seems to me that as a lot of young people are developing AI skills, and they may be in a company now as an employee, but they're developing these skills, and then they have either they're disrupted and they're out on their own, or they choose to go out on their own. Is that a new
Mhm.
category of people who will hang up a shingle and said, "I have these skills, and I'll do work for you, but I don't want to do it as an employee anymore. I want to do it as a contractor." Will the whole contractor class grow dramatically now?
Well, let's include in the contractor class the gig economy, if you
Exactly.
will, right?
Hmm.
Um, it's grown like a rocket ship over the last
Most people think of
what
gig economy being
15
Uber
years.
drivers, but I'm saying
Yeah,
all
but
across
but
the spectrum.
but there are people, being paid hundreds of dollars an hour to write software that are just like an Uber driver because they're working for multiple people, but they're getting a vastly better wage. Do I think there's going to be more of that? Yes, I do, and I think AI is going to make that pretty easy for a lot of people to do. But it's a whole set of skills that we're going to have to learn, and of course, it's changing so fast.
At Harry and David, we work with our hands as well as our hearts, so you can enjoy sharing it as much as we enjoy making it. And that's what life's really all about, sharing with those we're closest to, no matter how far we are apart. Harry and David, share more. We talked about being in and around New York City, and over the last 10 years or so, New York City has become a lot more like London in the sense that it's a club town. Lots of new clubs private clubs have opened up. Are they an example of customer-funded businesses? I'll give you a specific example that I'm familiar with. We have a home out in near in Hamptons, and there was a beautiful restaurant, hotel right on the beach, just a beautiful piece of property, but it was old and run down. And they'd have a different restaurant operator in there every other year, sometimes every year, sometimes every other year, because I had 12 weekends to make it. And if they had rain in the first 3, they could never make it up. And that's why they changed operators so often. And the place just got more and more run down. Then a big operator bought it and leveled it and built a beautiful, beautiful, not hotel, but a club. So they decided we have a terrific restaurant, but it's going to be a club. And it's going to be very expensive. Architecturally, it's beautifully designed. Design-wise, the color schemes, it's just first class. But they don't care if it rains the first 3 weekends because they got a lot of money to join the club, and they get a lot of money in dues, and they overstaff you with a service. Is that a model that we're going to see a lot more of, getting your customers to come up front and not be dependent on the vagaries of weather and interest?
Yeah, that's the whole customer-funded model where the customer pays a fee up front. It's like Costco, you
Mm-hmm.
know. If you and I want to go shop at Costco, we got to pay to do it. Well, what a revolutionary idea that is. And I don't know if you've studied Costco. I have. Did you know that I think it's $65 I now pay per year. My 65 and yours and everybody else's adds up to two-thirds of operating profit every year.
No, I did not.
Never never mind the margin on the retailing operation. Two-thirds of it comes from membership fees. That's why Warren Buffett is a big owner of Costco.
Mm. Because
But
that
yeah, we're
register
going to see
rings
that.
on the first of the year or the first of the month without regard to sales.
Yeah, that's right. Yeah.
And the psychologically knowing, by the way, I'm banned from Costco. My wife, there's just the two of us at home, and she says every time I go to Costco, I look like I'm participating in the LA riots, the amount of merchandise I leave with. But so I'm banned, but we are still members. And what psychologically what I have in the back of my head about Costco and why I don't question the price in there is that I know that they have a 14% gross margin.
Yeah.
And that's lower than everybody else. And I saw that real time as we sell product to them. We sell gift baskets, and other people we sell gift baskets. So one time we had a canceled order, so we had 100,000 extra gift baskets. So we went to them and gave them a very, very good price, and they took a lot of it. And they still only marked it up 14%. Now they could have marked it up a lot more and still given a great value to the customers. Other people that we sold the balance of that inventory off to,
Did that.
no, they didn't only mark it up
No.
14%. They went for the gusto.
Well, that's what I mean.
Yes.
Yeah, they took it as an opportunity to get more cash from the customer. But Costco has that ethic. It's going to be 14%.
Hmm.
And we're going to run the business on 14% margins. And a hot dog and a Coke is still $1.50 after how many
But
years?
it's those legend things that shape a
Yeah,
brand.
yeah, yeah, exactly.
I was listening
Yeah.
to my friend Seth Godin recently, and he used an example. I don't know if you'd agree with it, but he spoke about brand, and he said, Nike is a brand, and you know exactly what it is it stands for. And Hyatt, well, Hyatt's a logo, he said. He said, so if
Mm,
Hyatt decided to go in the shoe business, you'd have no idea what to expect that shoe to look like. But if Nike went into the hotel business, you'd know pretty much what that hotel would look like. And I thought that was such a great example
mm.
of the difference between a brand and not a brand.
Yeah, nice insight. He's an amazing
He
thinker.
really is. I enjoy him a lot.
Yeah.
So, what do you think is besides the customer funded businesses, what are the business models as you see evolving that are really interesting to you?
Well, I've been watching this customer-funded phenomenon since I wrote the book
Mm-hmm.
back in, when did we publish it? 2014, I guess, whatever, 2019. Um, and I've been looking to see if there are new ways that people are are getting the customer to fund their business. You know, that book specified the various ways to do that, and there are always new wrinkles. But fundamentally, the issue is if you can get your customer to pay up front, that does two things. Number one, it helps your cash flow a lot, and it might mean you don't have to make any investment to, to start or grow the business. But more importantly, it gives you customer validation like nothing else can. Because one of the big questions for every entrepreneur is, well, I think, you know, my customer is going to buy, but I don't have any evidence until I start. Well, if you get your customer to buy before you even make it, boy, that's incredibly powerful. And I think these new tools with AI are going to, you know, people are going to find ways to use AI to build something in no time, put it on the web, uh, get some customer traction, and if they get some traction, off they go. If they don't get any traction, okay, that experiment cost me practically nothing, so I'll try something else. I think we're going to see a lot more, let's call it experimentation, Jim, and a little less, maybe a lot less, let's call it strategic planning, where companies try and predict the future. I think we're going to see more experimenting to create the future.
There's a fellow I've gotten to know who's at Microsoft, and he's high ranking official there, and pretty much one of their leading AI experts runs businesses there. And he warned me 2 years ago to expect. He asked how many people he had at 1-800-Flowers companies. I told him we had about 3,500 people, and he said, "Well, be prepared for the company that'll be born within the next few years that'll be AI native and can do so many of the things that you can do, but they'll do it with 5% of the people you have."
Yeah.
I don't know if that's coming true. And I was heartened recently to listen to on another podcast, the All In podcast, David Friedberg talk about. Well, he can tell you in his company that AI isn't displacing people, but it's making them so much more productive. They're actually looking to hire 15 new positions because their productivity, the product production that they're creating using AI, is making them grow. And that made me a little bit more hopeful about the potential for this disruption period, low skilled or lightly skilled people getting disrupted by AI. The idea that AI really is going to incite productivity made me more hopeful that it won't be as disruptive.
I'm hopeful too, but that'll still be disruptive because that company who gets those skilled AI people who can be much more productive than the people at the company down the street who's not using AI are going to win the competitive race.
Mm-hmm.
And so over time, I think we're going to see some winnowing out of companies that fail to adopt these new tools and put them to use effectively, and those that are AI native that that build it efficiently from the ground up. I think it's going to be hard to take an existing business like yours. You know, how do you take that business with 3,500 people and make it like an AI driven company? You're going to try to do some of that, but
Surely
you're
we
going to have
are.
a much harder time than the 19-year-old
It's easy with a
who,
clean piece of paper.
who, who's got a clean piece of paper and grew up digitally. You know, I tell my MBA students, I can't teach you to use AI tools. You're the generation who's grown up digitally. You have to learn them. I can provide you opportunities to use them and to get better at using them, but ultimately you're going to have to figure out how to use them. And when you get out of London Business School, you better be AI ready because you're going to have to be.
So, has London School of Business uh, have they adjusted their curriculum to provide those skills training?
Well, in part, I'd say yes. We're not the only business school trying to figure out what to do with this stuff. We've got a task force working on it. We've got some faculty who are who just get it really quickly, and they're helping us a lot. But we've got a wide range of faculty in all, in economics and marketing and accounting, and we all want to teach our stuff, you know. Uh, but if I want my students to run a 7 domains analysis on an entrepreneurial opportunity to figure out whether it's any good, they can do that. But you know what they really ought to do is figure out how to build an AI agent that the next time an opportunity comes along that they want to look at, they ask their agent to do that. And that set of skills is going to become really important.
One of the things that we're confronting here, and just in recent couple of few weeks, is too many people using too many different AI applications. And all of a sudden we found out our cost buying tokens, creating tokens, was really getting away from us.
I'm not surprised.
And
Yeah.
I'm just starting to hear others in the marketplace say, wait a minute, this stuff isn't free. And yeah, you may have a subscription, but your meter's running. And a couple of people pulled back and said, wait a minute, we can't just let this go unfettered.
I think that's right. And it's going to be interesting to see what happens in the next few years, because currently the big players are pricing their stuff to build scale. They don't care about profitability at Anthropic or OpenAI today. Eventually, they don't have to do that. They've got boatloads of venture capital. But at some point, there's going to be a shakeout, and we'll be left with a smaller number of players. And at that point, those players are going to have to start figuring out how to make money, and prices are going to go up, and but it'll take a while.
Who are the entrepreneurs that are active today? You mentioned Elon that capture your attention.
Jeff Bezos isn't leading Amazon anymore, but I'm a huge admirer of what he built, and the absolute obsession that he and the Amazon team have with customers. Uh, so I can't call Jeff an entrepreneur, at least at Amazon anymore, though he certainly is at Blue Origin. But I think the people who have learned how to think and act like Jeff Bezos in by working in Amazon. Some of them are going to stay in Amazon and make that company continue to grow. A bunch of them are going to take those skills and they're going to leave and do something on their own. I think it's those kind of people that I most admire. People who work for a really well-led company like Amazon, and they say, "Gee, I've learned some stuff here, and I see a problem over there that my skills could tackle, and I think I'm going to go do that." So those are all pretty faceless people today, but they're going to be headline makers tomorrow.
So you're all excited about your MBA students in October?
Yeah, we'll see.
They come from
Yeah.
all over the world, Dr. John?
What's the current number? I think 8% of our students at London Business School are Brits.
Is that
And
all?
92% are from what, 65 countries last year, I think.
Wow.
And the faculty isn't much less diverse than that. We're from all over the world. Yeah, it's a remarkable bunch of people to be around. I consider myself very fortunate to get to play this game I play.
And can companies still contract with you to do consulting work for them?
Consulting faculty at top schools like ours get asked to do stuff with big companies all the time. I'm interested in small companies, as you know.
Yes.
And so I tend to do more education than consulting with those kind of companies. Little companies, by little I mean, not the big multinationals, don't spend a lot of money on consultants because they figure they can figure stuff out on their own, and mostly they can.
And what about investing? Do you do a lot of investing?
I do my share. I'm fortunate to have had students over the years trying to do new things. And though we are not allowed to invest in those students while they're students, we build relationships with them. Some of them, create businesses in one of our classes, and we get to know them.
And you've done your due diligence.
Later
you know
on,
what they're all about.
Yeah, and as an investor, when I think about investing in a young company, I never invest in a dot. I want to see a dot and then another dot and another dot that begins to start to look like a line.
Hmm.
And when that line is showing progress, then I say, okay, I'd like to be a part of that journey. So I do some of that, but I'm picky.
Hmm.
I don't do it quickly, but I learn an enormous amount from doing that, as I bet you do.
Those 18-year-old college new college students who are going to be playing soccer together, uh, are they AI ready?
Nope, nope.
How could you
They,
let that
they're,
happen?
yeah, I know. Well, it's all new,
Yeah.
uh, and in high school, what do you need to do to pass your AP physics test? Do you need AI to do that? Maybe some do, some don't. So I think they played around with it
Hmm.
a bit. Uh, but but most of their avocational time is spent on a soccer pitch, not in front of a screen. So we'll see what happens in 4 years at Grinnell College.
Tell us about their social media practices.
Uh, I don't think there's very much for these two particular boys. There's a game called Minecraft, evidently, that they like to play, and
Hmm.
that is played interactively with others. So I guess you could call that social media
Yep,
in
sure it
some
is.
sense. Um, and they post their soccer stuff on Instagram and so on, but they are not social media driven
Because a lot of their
boys.
time, it's not, they can't
I
possibly
I
be
think
on a
it's
screen. Yeah.
yeah, I think they're more interested in using their body and moving a soccer ball around.
So you've been to many soccer games?
I have been more than you can count.
And more to come,
And I'm having a ball watching the World Cup,
I bet.
this month. It's really been a treat.
I heard last night Mexico had a big win. The CEO of 1-800 Flowers
Mm.
is a native of Mexico, and he said he was up late
Oh, he
last
must
night
be
and was so wound
thrilled.
up he couldn't go to sleep.
3-zip, just impressive second half
Yeah.
in that match. Yeah.
Well, Dr. John Mullins, it's been a real treat to speak with you, especially because I've read so much about you and read so much of what you do and watched what you do. I hope you have a terrific summer there in Colorado, that you get to enjoy the World Cup, and that we get to connect again sometime soon.
Wouldn't that be nice, Jim? Pleasure talking with you. Thanks for having me on your show.
My pleasure. Thank you.